Welcome back to Ajax. This is the part 6 of Fullstack Google Contacts clone. So let's continue. Here in this sidebar, we are going to work on the labels section. So if you look at the original Google Contacts app, the labels section has a drop down. If user clicks on this, then it shows a drop down and its icon also is changed, and further, you can see the list of all of the labels that are created so far. And also, we can see a create label button that would create a new label. So if user clicks on the create label, then we will see a dialog that we will create as well. So let's proceed. Right now, this is how our labels menu look like. So I'm going to change it to make it look like this. So as this is a totally separate section, that is why there is a border above and below to this section. So first of all, let's make some changes to this section. So we have a separate file for the sidebar. So in that, this is the menu for the labels. I am going to create a div that would have a class divider. We need a divider above and below to this section. And now I'm going to design this divider. So open the SASS and here find the sidebar. And inside that sidebar, we need to design the separators. So I'm going to add width should be 100% and border top should be 1 pixel solid and it should be gray. So let's see how it looks like. So far it did not work, and the reason is that we did not start the SASS compiler yet. So we should run it as well. npm run this script. Now our SASS compiler is running. Now if I save it, then it would compile this CSS file, and now you can see we have the separator visible. So next, I need some gap above and below to that separator. So I guess I should add margin top and margin bottom to this. So let's add it. Margin 40 pixels, 0 pixels. This is too much, so I am going to decrease it. This is still, I guess, too much, maybe. Uh, let's reduce it to 5 pixels. I think that is fine now. So next, I need to add an icon here. So this is the icon that we need to replace. We need to add the arrow icon like here. For that, let's open the Font Awesome website. And here we will see the list of all of the icons. I'm going to find the arrow icon. Okay, we got some arrows, but I guess I cannot see any arrow that I need. So let me search down. Okay, so this is what we need. So by default, you can see that it shows a down arrow. So I'm going to pick this one, and let's copy this code, and I will replace this one with the new arrow icon. And now you can see we have the down arrow, and if user clicks on that, we should change the icon, and the icon should be toward upside. So before doing that, I'm going to wrap this entire section into another div so that I could add an active class on that div. So you can name it anything you want. So it's up to you. I have named it dropdown section. And if user clicks on this button or this link, then we should add an active class on this element. Let's add it on click, and let's think about the name of the function that we are going to create to add this active class. And I can name it, for example, sidebar dropdown toggle clicked. Okay, I named it toggle because it would behave like a toggle. And the reason is that if you click on that, it hides, and if you click on that again, then it shows the list. So that's why I named it toggle. Next, in the common JS, I am going to add that function. So let's create a function, and within that function, I'm going to get this placeholder because all of the links exist within this placeholder. So after getting this placeholder, I'm going to find, actually, we don't need this. We should receive the element that was clicked. So for that, I'm just going to pass this, or maybe you can pass the event dot current targets. With this way, we will get the current target, that is this div. So I would try to find out its nearest parent. So in the JS file, I'm going to receive this target element, and document, let me search for it. JavaScript get the closest parent. Okay, so I guess we have very nice feature by JavaScript. So you just need to use this element, DOM element, and here type closest, and in that you need to pass the selector that you want to capture. So closest function actually gives you the nearest parent based on the selector that you specify. So here I want to pick the drop-down section element, and then I would add toggle class, or maybe not that, class list dot toggle, and here I need to add the class. So benefit of this approach is that whenever we will call this function, it would check if there is, sorry, we don't need class, we need active class. Okay, so if we call this function, it would check if there is an active class on that element already. If there is active class, then it would remove that, and if there is not active class on it, then it would add that class for you. So let's test this function. So I'm going to reload it, and let's open the inspect element to see to observe the classes on that element. So this is the element where we want to add the active class. So you can see as soon as I clicked on that, we have the active class. So now we can use this class to add our own styles in the CSS file. So before that, yeah, so actually here in the sidebar, first of all, we need to replace the icon. So I'm going to copy paste two icons here. So one of the icons would stay invisible until we add the active class. So for example, we need upside arrow, and this would stay hidden. So I'm going to copy this class, and in the CSS file, I would say that inside the link selector, inside the content section, there is a class that should be hidden by default. I am going to add display none, and now I want to make it display block only if its parent has active class. So inside the links section here at the bottom, I would add this class dropdown section, and I would say if it has active class on it, then there is a class inside of it with the name link, and there is another class that is this one. I want to make it display block. Okay, and also I want to hide the other icon that is with the word down, and I want to make it display none. Okay, so whenever we have an active class on it, it would hide the downward arrow, and it would make the upward arrow visible. So let's test it to see if that works. Okay, that is working perfectly. And not only that, we should add the active class on that link as well, so that it could look like this. Actually, we don't need to make it. We don't need to add the active class because its parent already has the active class, so we can utilize that to make it a gray background. So for that, I am going to add background color. Let's try this one for now, just to see how it works. Okay, you can see that a permanent background color has been added. So as soon as we click it again, the active class would be removed, and the background color would also be removed. So that is great. All right. Next, I want to use the same background color. So let's pick that background color and use it there. So background red. Sorry. So I just need to use this box to be able to pick the background color. Something wrong happened. Let me see. If it is active, then just make it gray. Okay, and the gray should be lighter, not exact. Okay, this is the background color that we want, but it disappears immediately, so it is being difficult for me to pick that color. So instead of clicking on that, I can type it myself. So it is F1, F3, F4. Okay, F1, F3, F4. Now let's see. Okay, great. So now it is permanent. After that, uh, we need to add a section for the content of this dropdown. For that, go back to the sidebar, and here, after that, I'm going to add a div with the class dropdown content. Okay, so we will display all of the links inside of this section. So let's copy one of the link from here and paste them. And we don't need the active class here. Also, here, label one. For now, I am hard coding this label, but later on we will load these labels through the JavaScript dynamically from the Node.js by using MySQL. Okay, and this would show the counter that would reflect the number of the contacts within this label. For now, let's test it. Okay, and if we look here, we can see there is a label icon. So we need to replace that. Also, I feel that the width of the sidebar is not looking good. I need to increase that width. Okay, so this is the sidebar, and in the CSS sidebar, and let's try to use 300 pixels. Uh, did it work? No. So instead of this, let's try minimum width, 200 pixels. I guess it is looking better than before. Flex basis was not working for some reason, so I have used the minimum width. Okay. Next, I need to change the icon for this label. So let's find out the icon for the label. And this is not the label icon. Let's try to find manually through this list. So this is the tag, but we need a label type icon like Google. Let's try to see what they are giving, what name they are giving to this icon. This is not understandable. So I did not find the exact icon, so I'm going to use the tag icon. Okay. So let's copy paste this line of code, and I'm going to replace this icon with this one. Okay. Now we have the correct icon, and after that, I need to hide this section. So So inside the dropdown section, by default, we don't want to display that dropdown content, and we want to display it only if there is an active class on its parent. So for that, I am going to add display block to dropdown content inside the active selector. So here I'm saying that if there is an active class on this parent, on this element, then we want to make it display block. Okay. All right. You can see that the label section is not visible yet. So if I click on that, then it is showing the content. But the issue here is that uh, it is showing both of these links active. The reason is that we said that ourselves that we said that if there is an active class on its parent, then all of the links inside of this section should have a background color. But that should not be the case. It should pick the most recent one. It should use the first link to add the background color. Okay. For that, I'm going to add you. I am going to use the first child, and let's see. No, it did not work. Okay, I found the reason. The reason was that uh, we should actually use this operator. The meaning of this operator is that find only that links a class that is direct child of this parent. So if this is a direct child, then it would pick it. So for example, if you look at that, uh, this link is direct child of this parent, but this link is not, this is obviously a child of this one, but it is not a direct child of this one. It is directly child of this parent. So that's why it is ignoring this link and it is picking this link for us. So if I save it, then you will notice that this time it is making only first element activated. And after that, if I see, then there is a create label button. So let's add that one as well. For that, we already have a create label button that is here. So I'm going to move it from here into this drop down content. So now if you can see, we have create label and label in this section. After that, if I hover my mouse on the label, then there should be edit and delete button. So let's add them. So here in the link, I will add another div that would say actions. Okay. And in the actions, I would add button. You can call it action button or whatever you prefer. And in this button, we can just simply add The font has some icons for edit and delete. So let's search for the pencil icon. And this is the pencil icon that we need. Just click on that. And why it is taking some time. Anyways, so I'm trying to search the pencil icon from our existing code. So if I check, yeah, we have it somewhere. So this is the class that we can use for the pencil icon. So let's find the sidebar, and I'm going to copy this icon and I will paste it somewhere here. And we don't need actions in the create label section. We need actions in the label itself. So for that, paste it here. Instead of this one, I would like to use pencil. And yeah, this is also loaded. So anyways, you can see we have a pencil icon, and after that, we need another button for the delete. Okay, delete button is not same, so let us search for the delete icon. We need the trash icon, okay? So just click on that and copy the code that we want and replace this one. Okay. Now you can see we have delete and pencil icon. So first of all, we don't want to display these icons all of the time. We want to display them only if user hovers on them. So for that, I am going to make the action display none by default. So in the dropdown section, if there is actions class, then we want to make it display none. And after that, if there is hover effect on the link selector, then we want to make the action section display block. That would make it visible. Okay. So, oops, it did not work. Let me see what's going on here. So in the drop-down content, I am talking about, actually, I should not have used AND operator, because AND operator tells that we are talking about this element. So it is saying that if link class is on this element, then it should work. But this is not the case. We want that if the link should be inside of the drop-in content. Now this is correct. So let's see. So you can see that it appears only if user hovers on that. Next, we need to fix the alignment. Right now, these icons are showing in vertical direction. We want to show them in horizontal direction. For that, we need to add display flex to the actions instead of block. So now you can see that these are showing correctly, but there should be a small gap between these icons. For that, let's add some gap here. 20 pixel is too much. Let's try 10 pixels. Let's try 5 pixels. Okay, I guess this is looking perfect. Next, if I hover on any of these icons, then the color is changed a little bit. For that, uh, inside of actions, if uh, I hover on over any button, then the color should be changed to, let's try red for now. I will change it if it works. No, it did not work. So I guess I want to change the color for the FA. Yeah, it is working. So now let's use some little bit darker color, a bit more dark should work fine. Okay, now it is looking perfect. Next, if user clicks on the create label, then we should show a dialog uh, that would have the input to provide the title for the label. So let's create that dialog. Here I'm going to create a div inside the sidebar.html, and the ID of the div would be uh, label editor. Okay, in this dialog we would be editing the title, and if we click here on the create label, then we have this dialog. We have the title heading section, we have an input, we have two buttons to cancel and to save. In this dialog we need uh, multiple elements. One element for the overlay. You can see that there is a semi-transparent overlay behind this dialog. We need the same kind of effect. For that we need to create another div that would be overlay, uh, semi-transparent overlay. Okay, and after that we need the dialog content, and we would be creating multiple. We might need to create multiple dialogues maybe after that. So we should design this dialog in such a way that it should be reusable, so that we could use these classes again for some other dialogues if we need to. So for that, I'm going to add some other extra classes dialog, and we can call it dialog overlay. And here I would say dialog content. In the content, we have dialog title. After that, oh, uh, actually, let's call it dialog container. Let's call one second. Yeah, this is dialog. This is dialog content container, and this would be actual dialog content. Okay, and after that, this would be dialog footer. Okay, and inside footer we need two buttons: cancel and save. And here I can call it a form and a form. And I don't want to redirect the form on another page. So on clicking on the submit button, so I want to add action is equal to JavaScript void 0. So after that, I want here type submit, and now let's observe this dialog here. I am going to start designing this dialog. So copy the class, and as we want to make it reusable, so let's add it on a global. Let's make it global by defining these classes on the top. So this is the dialog, and here I want to use the dialog overlay, and I would add position fixed, top 0 pixels, and left 0 pixels, and width should be 100 VH, and height also should be 100 VH, and this should be VW. VW means view width, and VH mean view height. Okay. Next, we need to add the background color that should be semi-transparent. For that, type RGBA, and here I would add black color, and next I would specify the transparency with the help of the opacity. The opacity should be 0.5, and let's see. It is not working. Let's see what is the issue. We have dialog here. That's good. Next we have, actually I think I should reload it. No. Okay. I am saying that I need a dialog overlay inside the dialog. That is also correct. Position is fixed, top, left, width, height. Okay, let's check the inspect element to see what's going on. So if we look at the inspect element, this is the, no. So this is the dialog overlay. And the interesting thing is that our style did not apply on that. So what can be the reason? So I'm trying to observe the class names to see if we did any mistake or not. So here I have used the same spelling. If you copy paste, you will see the spellings are same. And if you copy paste this one, these spellings are also same. So it should not cause any problem. So top left width, it is not picking any style. Let me add some color style here. For example, background red. Let's see if that applied. No. So something is wrong. Nothing is being applied. Let's see if our CSS is being generated through this SASS. For that, open this file and see. You can see that, oh, I found something wrong. Look at this. it is considering header as its parent. We are not saying that. Dialog is not inside the header. The dialog is global. So why is it saying that? So maybe, I guess okay, I think we have added the dialog inside the header section. Look at this. So this is the header section. So we did that mistake. So, okay. So I'm going to remove this background color red and let's see. Okay, you can see that now the semi-transparent background is visible like the Google contacts. After that, we need to design the actual dialog content container. That is here. So let's copy this class and paste it here. Before that, I want to add display flags here so that I could control my content alignment. So I want that the justify content should be center and a line item should also be center so that the content should be in the middle. Next, I want the minimum width should be 300 pixels maybe, and the minimum height should be 200 pixels. Let's see how it looks like. We need to add some background color on it. So no, background color did not. Oh, actually, I am adding this selector in the overlay. That is wrong. The content is outside of the overlay sections. Okay, so this style should not be here. And let me see what we can do to fix it. For that, we can see that this is the. Anyways, I guess we need to add the flex properties on this most parent. Okay. And also we should add these styles here. And let's try to add width 100 height. No. Oh, actually here we should add position fixed. Okay. Okay, that's fine now. Now you can see that our content is in the middle, but still there is no background color. So we need to understand why is that. Also, we need z index 1 because you can see that the buttons are behind the overlay. So, and I cannot click on them. So for that, I added z index 1, and now you can see it is working correctly. The background color is also working. The issue was that there was no z index, so for some reason it was going behind the overlay and other elements. Now it is working correctly. Next, we need border radius around this white background. Border radius is 20 pixels. Okay. 20 pixels is, I guess, too much. Let's try 10 pixels. Okay, 10 pixels is perfect. Next, we need some shadow around it. For that, add box shadow. 20 pixels. Sorry. Where is that? Oh, I mistakenly closed the VS Code. Let's open it again. And I need to run the compiler again. Sorry about that. And I also need to run the HTML file again through the live server. Okay. So here I need the box shadow. 20, 0 pixels, 0 pixels, 20 pixels. And okay. I'm going to make it a little bit gray. Oh, this is not looking good. Actually, I can use RGBA and I can use the opacity and I can make it pure black. So we can just control the opacity from here to see which one looks perfect. So let's try it. Oh, sorry, I am using white. That is incorrect. Instead of 8, let me try 5, and here let me try 20. Instead of okay, I guess that is perfect. I'm going to add display flex. Let me see if we really need display flex or not. For that, let's compare it with the original layout. So right now we don't need the display flex, I guess. And maybe we do. So next, uh, I'm going to add minimum height to the uh, title section. So dialog title should have minimum height 30 pixels, and footer also should have a minimum height, maybe 50 pixels, and dialog content should be flex grow. So it would consume automatically the available remaining space. So let me see what's going on here. I guess we need to change the direction of the flex. Flex direction should be column. All right. Next, I'm going to add a title to this dialog, and the title would be create, sorry, not here, create contact. Okay. And this is the content. And if we look at the layout here, we can see there is some gap around the title. So let's add that gap. Display flex, align items center. This would make it in the center of its available space. And I need padding left 10 pixels maybe. No, it should be 20 pixels. Okay, and the height should be more than 30 pixels. Let's try 50 pixels. Okay. Next, inside the content, I need padding around it, 20 pixels. Perfect. Similarly, we need padding in the footer. Okay. And also we need display flex here so that we could align it in the middle. Flex direction, sorry, not that. Align items center, and justify content should be and with that it would push the buttons to the right, and there should be a gap of 20 pixels. Now you can see there's a gap between the buttons. I am reducing the gap to 10 pixels. Okay, great. Whew. Next, maybe the height of the footer should be 40 pixels, or maybe 30. Why is there too much gap below these buttons? Let's see. Actually, that is because there is a padding in it. So I'm going to reduce the vertical padding. So first parameter is for vertical padding. Okay, nice. But still it is too less. Let's try 15. Okay, perfect. Next, if we look at the gap between title and the body, the content, I guess this is not that too much, or maybe that is fine. So let's just actually let's reduce that gap. So I'm going to reduce gap like this. So 10 pixel. Okay, I guess that is perfect for now. Next, I'm going to add an input within that content, input type text, okay, and the placeholder would be type the label, okay. And now we need to design this input. For that, I'm going back to the CSS. Here I would type input width 100%, and the border, there should not be a border, there should not be outline, and there should be a border bottom 1 pixel solid, maybe blue or something like that in Google. I want color something like that, okay. So let's find out that input. I will try to pick the border color from there. Let me add a focus here. No. Let's try focus here. No. Focus, focus, focus. So let's just pick the color from the buttons. Okay, click on this icon and I will pick it from here. Okay. All right. So instead of blue, we will use this color. And let's see how it looks like. Okay, nice. But there should be some padding or something like that. There should be a gap between the border and the text of the input. For that, maybe we need to add the height 50 pixels or 40 pixels or 30 pixels. Okay, I guess 30 pixels is perfect, but the border should be 2 pixels. Oops. Okay, I guess that is perfectly fine now. Next, we need to design the buttons, and the buttons are very simple. So let's go back to the footer. Button, background color transparent, and the color should be the same color that I just pasted about. Okay. There should be not any border. Okay. Perfect. Next, we need to, actually this border should be visible. Normally there should be a gray border, and this border should be blue. It should be blue only if we are, if this input is active or it is focused. So I'm going to cut this code and paste the CCC. So by default, it would look like this, and the width of the border should also be small. And if there is focus on this input, then the border color should be, or maybe just add border bottom 2 pixels solid, and the color should be this one. Okay, so look at this. We have the blue border when user clicks on that input. Next, I cannot see any cursor pointer on these buttons. So we need that so that it looks like a clickable thing in this layout. So for that, in the footer, I want to add cursor pointer. All right. After that, I'm going to add a class on the cancel button. So next, by default, this dialog would be invisible. So for that, go to the top and add display none. And you can see the dialog has been disappeared, and the dialog should be visible only if actually I'm going to remove the flex because we have display none right now. And if there is an active class on dialog, then it should be visible only. Okay. For that, I'm going to add display flex if there is an active class on this dialog. Perfect. Now, if user clicks on the create label, then we should add the active class on that dialog that is currently invisible. For that, go back to the sidebar and find the create label link and click add an event on click show create label dialog. So whenever user clicks on this link, it would call a function that is saying show create label dialog. And now I'm going to create this function in our common.js file. Type function name, and here I need to get the DOM element by using let dialog is equal to document dot query selector, and here I need to provide the ID that is this one, label editor dialog, and here I want to say dialog dot class list dot add, and here I want to add active class. So with that, the class would be added and the dialog would be visible. So let's try that. Click on the drop down, click on the create label, and you can see the dialog is visible. Next, I want to hide this dialog whenever user clicks on the overlay. Okay. So for that, I'm going to create another function that says hide the create label dialog. I would go back to the dialog and I would add a function here on click. So if user clicks on this overlay, then we want to call a function hide dialog overlay. Okay, let's test it. Click on that, click on the overlay. No, it did not work. Maybe we did not use a correct spelling for the function. So I'm going to, yeah, spelling were not correct. So now let's try it again. Refresh it, click on that, click on that, click on this overlay. No, it did not work. So let's see what's going on. Let me see. So we did not make any change. We just copied and pasted. We should have replaced the add function with the remove, because this time we want to remove the active class from it. So let's try it again. Okay, perfectly. You can see that if I click on the overlay, then the dialog disappeared. So next, if user clicks on the cancel button, then it should be disappeared again. So for that, we can use the same function on the cancel button. So let's try it. So you can see overlay is still working and cancel button is also working. Okay, perfect. So that was all about working on the label section. So this is for now only static version of the label section, but it is going to be very dynamic in the future videos, where we will be fetching the data from the Node.js and MySQL. Okay, very nice.